Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 29th of March. Send in your requests. This week we have ELX, CSR, Santos and Silver Lake, SLR. Just also make note of our disclaimer, any advice is general only. Okay, so this is CSR, sent through a few days ago. You'll notice that it's clearly been in an uptrend for the last few years. We had a look at this one a while ago. What I liked at the time was this triangular formation, and of course it broke out, had a bit of a retest, and then off she goes. Even on the recent pullback, I've noticed that it's generally sitting on top of this this high from 2017 on a weekly basis. So looking poised to continue the move higher. I'll just move to a monthly chart. So in terms of upside targets, I suppose we can look back at this sort of congestion here and assume that it might try to head towards $6 initially, but it may well go through that. So CSR is shaping up quite nicely here. LX medical lasers, not one I'm familiar with, so we'll move to a daily chart. So you'll notice that clearly in the last year and a bit it's been falling. Better move to a weekly then. So still looking a bit negative. So we had this sort of sell-off here. It seemed to round out and want to jump, but unfortunately it broke through this low. And we could see the break underneath there. So I'd be looking to see if we can overcome this this previous support level. Obviously, if it fails to go through here, we're going to look at even lower levels, unfortunately. Okay, Santos, this is one I've been keen on. So what we noticed, so this is a weekly chart for the last 2 years. What we noticed mid last year was this downtrend was broken quite convincingly, and then we set up a target for Santos near 550, and the way that we did that was basically I measured this initial move up here with our Fibonacci tool, and then extrapolated it out, and as we could see it pretty much hit that target beautifully. So a nice sort of three-wave move there. It's come back recently. If I just go to a daily chart, you could see how good this is looking. So why I say that is that it found a low here in February, it jumped for several days, and then it needed at least a few weeks to come back and retest that low, managed to hold above it, and now it's trading higher, and this is despite our market looking a bit ordinary in the last week. Obviously there's a bit of a short-term correction that's now been broken, and I'd expect Santos to trade quite a bit higher from here. I'm looking at about $6 as an initial target. Finally, Silver Lake Resources, gold stock. This is a weekly chart. So 2017 was a bad year for it. Jumped off that low quite nicely, and now it's just sort of come back as a bit of a retest. So if I move to the daily chart, we could see that nice rally at the end of last year. Pulled back, seems to have rounded off, and then popped higher. It's had a couple of negative days, unfortunately, which makes it look under threat, but I think as long as it sticks above this line, it's got a chance of reversing. So I think if it sort of reverses off here and starts to trade pretty well in the next few days, then it becomes a buying opportunity again, and then we can follow it. In terms of a target, I'll just move out to the weekly. It looks like there's been a lot of sort of resistance here and previous support, so you'd say at about 50 cents is where it should head to. And if I just measure that retracement, we could see it's around that sort of Fibonacci level. So I think around 50 cents is a fair target for Silver Lake if it can really get going from current levels. Okay, well that's it for today. As always, send in your requests and I'll have a look at your stock next week, and just make sure you share this video on social media. The more interesting requests we get, the more chance we have of uncovering a fairly good opportunity.